Hey everyone, welcome to World on the Move. We've been waiting to do this podcast for a long time, man. So, when my first idea in doing this podcast, number one, we want to highlight people's strength, and I'm visually impaired, and I don't think that I have a disability. I just learn different. Everybody has a story, and I want to do it in a way where everybody gets included and gets to share it. Like, there will be times we will invite people onto the podcast. There will be times we will share trials and tribulations. We wanted to make this a inclusive thing, a spiritual thing. If you feel like you're down in the dumps and you feel alone, I want you to feel like you're able to watch this podcast, get a little entertainment from how me and my mom talk to each other, and also get a little motivation from what we do. So the first thing we're gonna do some introductions, and I'll let my mom go first.
Hi, I am Dina Wildy. I am a wife, a mother, a sibling, but most of all, I am a child of God. I love being in this world at this particular time because it allows me to be forever learning, and I am so grateful for my son allowing me to be able to embrace this new age of life with him, and he's teaching me. And I am, even though I am an adult, I am still being groomed, and I'm able to lay all of my wisdom to the side to be able to be a learner. So I'm happy to be here today.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So let me do my introduction. My name is Terrence, also known on my YouTube channel as Terrence the TiTAN. I am I'm visually impaired. I grew up, doctors said that my vision would get worse as I grew up, but God had a different plan and it got better. I wanted to, in my YouTube channel and just in my everyday life, to do things to give motivation, to inspire hope, to just show every side of myself, every side of other people. That's why this podcast is called World on the Move, because just because you're down in the dumps for that one moment, it doesn't mean the world stops. It doesn't mean you stop. You can stand up, you can rise, and you can keep on going. So that's my introduction, and I will let Mrs. AME, I'll let her get into that side of things and give her more insight on who she is when it comes down to other parts of life.
Okay, so I am a AME consultant, as accommodations, modifications in education. I am a certified special education teacher. I love accommodating students according to their IEP, but most naturally, I love watching how students learn and making certain critiques and adaptability to assist them with their educational goals. And I am a consultant to the education system on the parent side to kind of help the parents to navigate this IEP world, because they need to know their legal rights. They also need to know if the goals and objectives lining up with their educational plan for their child. I have a unique way of doing things because I walk this life with my own son, and we had to walk it together with me learning as well as me being able to be at the forefront to be able to teach others. So I have a unique way of being able to provide this accommodation, a consultant to parents.
Brilliant. So what would you say to parents that is watching this podcast and they just had a kid and come to find out the kid, I'm not going to say disability, he learns different, rather deaf or blind or anything, even if it's not that serious, but at the same time, when you're a parent, I know for you it was like trying to find the right things to do, the right moves to make. So what would you tell them?
first, just be your natural being and your natural selves. When God sent us here, He sent us with everything that we need on the inside of us. We don't need to go to another entity to look for how to be like others, because we are unique, and we have the fullness of the Godhead already within us. So first, don't try to look for a way not to fit in, because the world is going to show you that you don't. Even when you think you're fitting in, you're not fitting in. So you want to make sure that you enjoy your children and enjoy them as their unique selves. Get to know who they are, and when I say get to know who they are, what their likes, what their dislikes, how they communicate. Enjoy your life, enjoy your value system, enjoy your morals, enjoy the boundaries and discipline that you want to instill in your child. Look at the end goal, and then see what works for your family to get there. Do not look on the outside to try to figure out how to make your kid be more like what what society or the educational system says that a child should be doing at that particular age.
That's perfect. So I got a question for you, and it's gonna give people more insight on us. So I'm about 1, 2 to 3 years old. What is like some of the first things you learned about me and how to deal with me in the process of really becoming a mother?
I was allowed to stay home with you for several years, which gave me some time to get to know who you are, allowing you to make the mistakes, like when you used to walk into furniture because you couldn't see it. You used to have a lot of little cuts on the corner of your eye because you cut the furniture, you cut the areas too short, and I used to always wanted to just shelter you from that, but you didn't care. You wanted to move. You wanted to get to the next, to whatever toy or to whatever activity that you was trying to reach, and I noticed that you was relentless about doing it. And so I try to safeguard certain areas, but it was in those moments where you bumped into furniture to know that this table is here and it doesn't move, and you started going around the table, or this wall is here and it don't move, and even though you maybe couldn't see it, you learned that you learn by bumping into it probably several times that it's there, where you learn to kind of trust your body and trust yourself and listen to the areas, and that taught me that you had the built-in senses already inside you. I just had to allow you to make those mistakes that look like to me that, oh my God, I'm not protecting my child, but honestly, it didn't kill you. It actually built your trust in yourself. I think that was huge, allowing you to trust yourself more than trusting someone else. I can only imagine standing behind you and trying to tell you, go right, go left. I can only imagine how uncertain you would be because you're relying on my voice to get you there. But when you're quiet, now all of the senses, your eyes, your ears, your taste,
In tune with each other.
is in tune with each other. So that taught me that God has sent you here with everything that you need. All I needed to do is be the vessel to help you, to cheer you on, go, 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 and making sure that you had the confidence in yourself to know that you can do this.
That's very brilliant. That's very impactful. And can I say you are an excellent mother?
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Only with the help of God. If God didn't show me, and I made several mistakes, don't get it twisted. I did try to shelter you. I did try to safeguard everything, but continue to have a relationship with God. He will walk you through, even through your mistakes.
So I want to ask you a question I never really asked you before. In my birth, after finding out what I was going through, what was the first step do you remember taking with me that you didn't know that it might be in the right direction? Would it be which way should you go? I want to really tap in I want people to actually listen to this podcast and get these tidbits, because from a lot of things you told me, you didn't really know the way you were gonna go. It was really by the grace of God of showing you. But I want to tap into that thought process of you're having me, you find out that I learned different. What were your first steps?
Well, my first steps to knowing that something was wrong with your eyes was when um, I started to read what children should be doing at certain ages. I actually tried to like carve you into a box because I wanted to make sure that he's on his learning curve. But the first thing I noticed is that you wasn't following me with your eyes. You were following my sound when I speak, and then also the way that your eyes used to go up and down and jump. I noticed that something was possibly wrong, and I was like, okay. But you was still so joyful and still so playful. I just was like, he's still playful. I didn't want to like kind of face it, and I didn't want to like have to deal with what I possibly feel in my body and feel in my heart. I just was like, he's still enjoying life, but I still need to go see about this. And so, your very first doctor's appointment, I took you, and the doctor gave me eye drops. I explained to the doctor what I was experiencing. You not on your learning curve, and what I mean by that is that he's crawling, but he's crawling into things. When I call him, he's able to come straight to me. But when he don't follow me, he literally don't follow me with his eyes, and so he only follow with sound. And so he gave me eye drops. He said you had an eye infection. I was in tears. I remember calling my mom in tears because I knew in my heart of heart that something was wrong. I didn't know what to do when something was wrong, so I did not feel the eye drops. I called. I looked up doctors or children's hospital in New Orleans. I looked up eye doctors everywhere. I went to reading reviews, just doing all the things that parents would do to make sure that your child go to the best doctors. Well, I stumbled up on Dr. Vivas at Children's Hospital. And glad to say that she still see you today, and she's so amazed by you. But anyway, she was the first doctor told me that really dived off to let me know and explain to me how your eyesight actually works. She's the one who's diagnosed you as visually impaired. She's the one who told me you have small optic nerves hypoplasia. She's the one who explained to me how the muscles didn't develop. She's the one who like really gave me the game. And leaving from there, I can't say that I wasn't like depressed, because I don't want to use the word depressed. It was almost like confirmation.
But you already knew.
What I already knew in my body.
Just when somebody actually says it, it's like.
Yes, exactly. But I took it like, let's get it.
Oh, yeah.
I just got my master's degree from Southern University. I was just coming out in this working world, and I wanted to kind of see how can I apply some of the things that some of the things that I have learned over the years, because I always knew that access and resource was the catapult of everything. And so I wanted to make sure that I start you to having access to your physical therapy, OT, things of that nature. So I started going into just like researching things about your eyesight and what things that we need to do to get you kind of started. And so that I started on that path.
Right.
And immediately I wanted to make sure that I remove any barriers that would not get you to a path of you being who you are.
Right.
So, and the barrier for me was I don't have a sighted child, and so I'm not doing anything that sighted students do, that sighted other people do. If he show an interest in that, then we're gonna find accommodations for that. But if he don't show an interest in that, we're going full throttle with being him and who he is. And I wanted your gifts to work for you, not
other people.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
That's correct.
So I have a question. You know, I was very kind of funny in school because I didn't, like, despite my anything going on with my eyes, I didn't like using canes. I would outrun my parents that would be with me. Like, going through that as a parent, I know that was kind of unnerving.
It was.
Because you didn't know really what to do at that time. So I want to know, what was your thoughts in that time?
During that time, it just was stressful. It just was stressful trying to find what works and what didn't. You was still a child trying to figure stuff out, so it just was stressful. That's all the best. I didn't go home and be like, oh, whoa, it's us. I don't know what's going on. I just thought that we just trying to figure, like, you wasn't sent in the world with instructions. Neither was I. So we got to figure this thing out. Okay, this work, this may not work. And then once I started trying to see, okay, he need this cane travel. Like, so this is something that he gonna have to face, because even if he get a guide dog, or even if he goes to this school, he needs it for right now. So there were certain things I had to buckle down to make you do, as opposed to allowing you to just be a child and doing whatever you want to do. And there were certain things that I didn't feel that you needed in your life in the future, because of the very fact that I wasn't using it. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, certain things the schools teach you or require you to learn that you don't even use ever in your life. So I buckled down on certain things that I felt like the direction that God was taking you, which you still don't like cane travel, but you still had to take it to get where you are now. So that was certain things I was like, okay, you're gonna do that. You know what I mean? Yes, sir. Even though you don't like it, yes, sir. So it was stressful. Not gonna say it wasn't, but doing my research and being around other parents that had children with visual impairments allowed me to know what to invest in and what not.
Now I got a humongous question. How did you feel when the phenomenon started to happen? I mean, doctors said that my vision would get worse as I grew, but then you saw me starting to teach myself print. You started to see me started to read signs in the store. Like, you started, and this is around like 14, 15, as you start to see, like, it's way better now, but you started to see gradual improvements where they said there would be none.
That's correct.
So how did you feel when that, just like the impossible, like now you got to make a curve turn? Like, how did you started to feel at that point?
I remember the first time that you called me pretty. You told me, Mom, you look very pretty today. You told me that in Lafayette, I remember. And I cried like a baby. I cried like a baby because I didn't know how much of my person that you were able to see ever. So, you know, you have told me I looked nice, but this time you told me I looked pretty, and it was a difference. When you told me that, I have always known that God was real. But God spoke to me in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, we were staying in an apartment on Gus Young. I remember this. I was having a moment when I received this information that you were visually impaired, and I was having a moment. I mean, a moment as a parent, and God told me that you would see. And I didn't shun it. I didn't say, look what this news I have. I didn't say none of that. All I just said, thank you, God. That's what I said. I said, thank you, God. And I remember that. And I said, thank you, God. And so to increase my faith, I kept on saying it in my spirit. I never told anybody anything out loud, because I do believe that you don't cast your birds into swines. Because when God gives you something, it's for you. It's not for the world, or it's not for your friend or your mom or anybody. It's for you. And so anytime that I was doubting, I used to repeat that. Even if I didn't believe it in my heart myself, I basically wanted to make sure that I literally wanted to they distracted me, but it's awesome. Everybody want to speak.
It's beautiful.
It's
you know?
beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So anyway, when you started literally saying like letters, and you learned Braille as your first language, and you was able to start seeing letters, I knew that God just came down, and I was like, oh my God, you told me this. And you told me this in Baton Rouge, and you told me this in 14 years, 15 years later, your word did not return void. It was just a hallelujah moment. It allowed me to know that his promises are yes and amen, and it's real. It's real. I'm continuing to be all, because I just be like, he told me this 14, 15, 20 years ago, and we live in it, and it's amazing to me.
See, I'm learning something new, y'all. I didn't even know God told her that.
Mm-hmm.
You never really told me that before.
No, I held on to it because he told it to me.
Right, that's right.
And I didn't want you
to be burdened by, okay, God said I'm going to see.
And you waking up every day trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? And so I have to have the mustard seed of faith to continue to pray. Like, I know what your words say. I know what you said. And I didn't want you to have the burden of thinking that, oh, my mom want me to be able to see, so I got to go after this thing. It wasn't nothing that you needed to do. You just needed to be.
Yeah. I knew something was different when the doctors that I was going to just couldn't put their finger on it. Like how they say that he has small octave nerve hypoplasia, but like he's reading the letter that's up on the TV. Like how, like at that point, I think I started to actually like fully see. Like I actually kind of could. I'm gonna point this on the nose kind of for you, because when I started to really see you, like I always saw like like imagine seeing your, that's perfect, your silhouette.
Okay.
I saw your silhouette, and if you had hair as a child, I saw that. But then out of nowhere, even before I said you looked pretty, out of nowhere it's like, okay, so now I actually see her mouth and her eyes and this, that, and the third. I say about 11 to 12 is when it started to really come to light. But I didn't like tell anyone about it. I didn't really want to look too deep into it, because that's around the moment I had my dark moments after, like, I put it out there because people could use this as, someone's story. My mom and dad got a divorce. So at this moment in time, I was going through that, and also at the exact same time, I kind of poisoned my reputation because I used to lie a lot. So at this point in time, at like 11 or 12 years old, I'm starting to be able to see, but I didn't want to tell nobody because I didn't want no one to think I was lying, or, oh, here goes Terrence, he's back at it again. So I waited till I cleared my reputation and rose above the old things that I was going through, and waited until I was 13 and 14. And the first time that was realized is when I told you, Mom, you look pretty today.
Dad, you blew my mind when you told me that. I cried like a baby.
So
can I have a question for you?
Yeah, okay.
So my question for you is, how did you feel with me raising you from now? Did you have anything in your heart that, like, I wish she didn't do that, I wish she didn't raise me like that? Do you feel hurt about certain things? Can you just share your experience being raised by us?
Number one, I have no hurt in my heart, no hurt in my heart, or any unforgiveness about anything. Because one thing I loved about you, that from a young age, even when I was mad at you, that made you an A1 parent. I love parents that allows their child to fall. Like, how many times did I run into a wall? Even when I could see, and I just like, because people got to understand, I didn't just wake up and was able to see one day. I woke, like, it's like, number one, you start to see almost like in a black and white way. Number two, it's like you're starting to see it in a regular way, but you're starting to have drunk man vision. So it's like you might see a wall, and instead of like going past the wall, you think the wall only ends to this moment. So you still might run into it. So, you always gave me room to make a mistake, and that's what I loved the most. Like, I'm no stranger. Like, I'm not sitting here trying to call myself a tough guy. I'm really a lover, not a fighter, a positive energy type of person. But I am I'm no stranger to fighting. And you never tried to shelter me from that either, because you knew one day that once you were gone, I was gonna have to stand up for myself. So you put me in tools like boxing. You put me in these different things where there are major room for error, and I remember people would criticize you for it, but I'm so grateful for it because it gave me room for error. But that's when it gave me moments where even things that I didn't do right, it gave me to know my limits, what I could do, what I couldn't. I actually got to determine that for myself. So I have no hate in my heart or anything like that, because I mean, don't get me wrong, everybody makes mistakes. There's no guidebook on how to be a parent, and you know, you did the best you could, and I truly applaud you.
Thank you. And I thank God for giving me you. You have taught me so much. You have taught me so much about life, the human spirit. You also have taught me about looking at accepting people. That's the biggest thing. Accepting people for who they are. That's the biggest lesson in life, because you can get caught up with just how things supposed to be, and when everybody don't check those boxes, you kind of like go like, okay, this person not supposed to be a part of the team, or this person not supposed to be a part of the group because they don't check these boxes. But I'm so happy to have you in my life, because it taught me to accept people for who they are. And we don't have to believe the same thing. We don't have to vote the same way. We don't have to be the same color. We don't have to have the same education status. We don't have to have the same social circle. But if you are here and God gave you the same grace that He gave me, you're supposed to be here, and you're supposed to be respected.
That gives me a perfect segue. So, this goes to the more lighthearted side. We always could flip flop from lighthearted to serious to thought provoking, but this gives me more to the lighthearted side. I'm very into gaming and creativity and all these type of things. And as I was growing up, even my cousins would say, "There's no way Terrence is vision that fair," because he used to keep on beating me in this game. How did you feel going and, well, I have two questions. Number one, when you start to see my creativity, and see, these viewers don't know it yet, but it's coming. But how did you feel when you start to actually see my creativity and creating these characters and maps and all these different things that when I was younger I used to do and show you? How did you feel when it happened?
So, this is probably gonna shock you. I had already knew, like you have shown this since you like was a child. Like when we put you, I remember your dad and I, when we were married. I remember that you slept in our room you was our first child, so you slept in our room forever. And I think that we were more hooked on you than you was hooked on us, and we were blaming it on you. No, he not ready to go in his room. You know, we had this 3-bedroom home. We think that you in the way that the home layout was, you were on the other side and we was on one side.
I was a little further away.
Right. So I think I did it for my own selfish reasons, or your dad too, but I can't speak for him. But I just wanted you by me, and so we decided to fix your room up. You remember?
Yeah, I do.
All right. So we decided to fix your room up, and we gave you this talk. I don't know if you remember. We gave you a talk about you're a big boy now. You're supposed to be in your own room. We even went and bought walkie-talkies so you'll be able to call us when you get what? We did all of these things.
Yeah.
We put you in your own room. You slept in your own room for the whole night. You did not call us. We checked on you. Probably well over 5 times throughout the night. It was us. We was the problem. That taught me you used to be in your room for hours, creating scenes with all of these toy men, and you would change your voices according to what toy man, I don't know what they were, that you had, what wrestler that you had. You would create a scene on the floor. Everything was in its place a certain type of way. And then I remember you'll do something and I used to punish you. And you used to be in your room laughing. And I say, he better not be playing with no toys or anything like that. And I walk in your room and you would just be creating a movie in your mind. And I walk in and I be like, what you doing? You be like, I'm not doing nothing. And you bust out laughing. And I used to be so upset. He like, this boy is really having fun. So I'm watching you. And you didn't know, I don't know if you knew or you didn't know, but you didn't know our mom was there. And then you used to be having those same voices. Their voices would change, and I can tell that whatever you was doing, you were creating a story, because you can hear the voices, you can hear the highlights, you can hear the lows, you can hear it. And so being creative didn't just start.
Right.
It had always been there. And driving in the car, you'll just bust out laughing and nothing to be funny. And so I never thought it was weird. I used to just be like, his mind is beautiful, because I thought it was encouraging for you to have the courage to laugh out loud because you think something funny in your mind. I think that's so fire, because we are taught to be a certain way socially. We are taught to walk a certain way, to be accepted, and you were uniquely you, and you loved your mind, and I found an encouragement in that. You actually helped me to be who I am. Just like, you know what? Shoot, I don't have to be like nobody else. I don't have to have the same hair. I can switch careers if I would like to. I can be funny or quirky. I can not know. Like, it really encouraged me.
Wow. So, this leads into my second question. How did you enjoy going to Comic-Con? I put that on my YouTube channel. All the pictures I took, all the things we did. Comic-Con, I was telling her about this for a while. I even told her about this when I was younger, but she really wasn't really into it now. But now she actually went. Tell everybody your reactions to how all the creativity in the room, all the positivity in the room, all the energy.
Okay, so this is what I thought about Comic-Con. So when I first saw the flyer to go to Comic-Con, honestly, it was it was very unique, because I normally don't go into CC's. I love CC's coffee. I am an avid coffee drinker. It is my goal and my dream to have my only coffee shop. I'll say it here. I love coffee, but I also love the community space of coffee. So anyway, so I went into PJ's, and I don't normally go into PJ's. I go to drive-thru, and I was fixing my coffee, and on the area, in the area where they have the sugars and the creams, I saw the flyer, and that was the only flyer. So I picked the flyer up and I read it, and I was like, oh my God. And you know what we're going through in our personal life, you know, it kind of play off of that. So it played off of that, and I thought it was just like so unique because God is just so unique. This is not something that I would even look at. To be honest with you, this is not something that I would even buy tickets to. I wouldn't. It's not my cup of tea, so to speak.
Right.
And so I came in the car and told my son, I was like, look, Comic Con is coming here. Do you want to go? And he was like, yeah, I've been telling you about it. I was excited to tell him, and he was just like, yeah, I've been telling you about that. Like, yeah, I want to go. Like, that's a no-brainer. That's the response he had. And so I was just like, oh, so he been wanting to go stuff like this. So anyway, I was getting excited because what I do is embrace. Once I accept what I'm going to do, I embrace it fully. And so I didn't do any research because I am learning in this era of my life that there is so much information that is out there.
It could be misinformation.
It could be misinformation, especially when I don't know anything. I like to experience it because life is your best teacher. Reviews are good, but that's somebody else's experience. Their experience is not my experience. So I did not review it. I did not try to look at a YouTube video about it. I wanted to experience it. So what we did, we bought tickets, and so we went. I absolutely love being in this atmosphere. Number one, I celebrate uniqueness. That's who I am. That's who we all are. That's who God had created us to be. I love this community so much because everybody had their own unique thing that they liked.
We all just came together.
And everybody came together. They were very accepting, number one. They were very knowledgeable and wise about what product they were either selling or what product they were investing. And they were able to tell you this with so much of confidence. Either they was dressed like it, either their table, they were fully engulfed into the character.
Right.
And I remember when I used to go out, or I used to go to parties that tell us, okay, you have to wear yellow. I was truly investing wearing yellow. You know, I'm gonna rock this certain bag, or I'm gonna have my hair like this, or if I'm going to a party and they say the theme is this, I was fully engulfed in it. But I was fully engulfed in another person's idea or concept of what they were creating.
Yeah.
Being in this space, and they had different booths and different tables, and everybody was fully engulfed in their gifting and accepting of others, whether they was or wasn't. I enjoyed and I learned, and it was people from different ages, in their 60s,
yeah, even
all the way
people.
down to people that was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful and amazing. When I left out of there, I told my son, I said, if I ever made you feel any type of way, or feeling different, or feeling like you're not with this or that, or whatever box I try to put you in, I am sorry. Because I actually was in a box and not him.
Being a part, I always wanted to go to Comic Con because it was games, wrestling, all kinds of different stuff. When I went in there and felt all the positive energy, I'm a creative person. Y'all know it from my gaming series, creating these gaming movies. There's a lot of things I've done to show my creativity. To be in that room with all those people, something really hit me. Something really hit me, and it's very simple, but it hit me. Queen, I know you remember this. I was in the Wrestling Figures Out, and he was doing the characters. He was like, I'm a football. You know,
right.
Yeah, he was playing, what his name was, Howard Finkel, the announcer. And, like being in there and seeing him do the character in front of everybody, and when we were about to leave, he said, keep the wrestling spirit alive, my brother. Like the way he said that, it showed when you come here, you're with your people. You with all the creative people. Like nobody was looked at any kind of way of being weird. Everybody was embracing who they were.
Right. Correct. How do you feel now for getting this type of parent? Because I haven't always been this type of parent. And I know that you're an adult now. I'm not parenting you, but how do you feel? I guess my question is, how do you feel now to have me as a friend as opposed to being the parent? Because we are friends now.
Honestly, I say it all the time. I've been in a lot of situations where I let them pass. I've been in a lot of situations where I've seen a lot of parents and sons and daughters really go astray from each other once they get older. And the fact that we became this close, it means a lot to me. Like, I'm actually very excited if I get a chance to introduce you to something, talk to you about something. Like, the relationship where you could be mad about something I did, I could be mad about something you did. We ride in the car, and either a song come on or something pass by, or something random happen, and we just start laughing. It's just that type of relationship is beautiful. So I'm gonna put the same question back on you. How do you feel about the son you have now?
I'm honored for you to feel that we can be friends and you allow me to befriend you. I'm honored that you want to invite me in your world, and to see your development as a man has been truly something I have always wanted. Just to see you just flourish and become your unique self. I'm honored. I'm honored to be your parent. I am honored to see your growth, and I thank God for you.
I got a hard hitting question. Was there any time, and you have to be real, you have to be really, really real, because where we are now is where we are now. Has there any time in the past where it felt like I failed you as a son?
You never failed me. I was disappointed in you, but you never failed me. Because to say that you failed me is to say that I had expectations for you and you didn't live out those expectations. I never had expectations of what I wanted your life to be. I want you to be who you want to be. Now, they have had disappointing moments that you have made decisions that's disappointing. But to see how you triumph over that disappointment, I wanted to make sure that if you didn't disappoint yourself, I had to restructure how I saw you, right? Because maybe that was a win for you and it wasn't for me. So I have always I try to take myself out of, especially when you became an adult, take myself out of the decisions that you make, because we learn by falling. I learned that very early by you hitting the side of the corner of your eye. You're going to learn by falling, and now that you are a grown man, you don't like anybody to do anything for you. You're going to come ask if you need help or need assistance. You're going to ask. You know what I'm saying? And I have learned that about you. So when I see you doing something, I try not to say something, and so you could just learn, even if it's going. I just be like, you gonna learn it.
I want to get more into the realism, because I really want people to either like laugh at us and take inspiration from us at the same time. I want to get more into the realism, because you said it off camera, but I want to get it more out there for people that's needed inspiration. How did you feel when I moved out the first time?
I was very disappointed. I was disappointed the way that you done it. When you moved out, you didn't communicate. You didn't say you was leaving. I was also disappointed that when I got feedback from others, that certain things that you were saying that was happening to you, was disappointed about the small talk that was going on, and it seemed like my character just was being like attacked. And yeah, I was disappointed.
Yeah, that's real. So, how did you feel? And this goes back to when you said trumping over. Matter of fact, I want to take a step back. The times you had to come to see me and you knew something was different about me. Like, how was you feeling in that mode? You had to be a parent that you couldn't be too overbearing, but at the same time, something you always would tell me. You always welcome back home. You know that, right? You know you always could. You know, like you always. Like it felt like from my standpoint, it felt like I was in the matrix and you was trying to pull me out of it. But I want to know from your side of things, as a parent that might be listening to this and probably dealing with this themselves, how was it for you to see me in those positions? I tried to get out and you can see me in my normal self, then I go back and it looks like how did you feel?
I read the story about the prodigal son, and one thing that I was learning from the father in the prodigal son, he loved his son. I don't care what his son did, he loved him. You know, he created a space for him to be able to come back home. He didn't get upset or like, oh, you should never ask for your birthright before time. And I know that probably was very hurtful for him because you only get your inheritance when somebody died. But his son asked for his inheritance now, and I can only imagine as a parent if you come asking for your, and I have can I get your beneficiary to your life insurance policy? I'm like, I can't give it to you because I have to die first.
Right, that's true.
And so it's hurtful, but I wanted to create a space that you always know that you were loved. You're not loved because you do everything right. And you're not loved because you did something wrong and I need to sway you over here. You love just for being. And that's what I wanted to make sure that whether you are in the palace or you are in the dumps, I'm getting down with you. That's why when I used to come after church, I sit down and eat lunch with you right in front of your spot and sit down and, talk to you. And we wouldn't talk about, I wouldn't come here and say, you shouldn't be here. I would come here and just talk about, hey, how you doing?
Yeah.
Basically, no judgment. Because I wanted to let you know that there is no way that you can go that I'm not going to be present.
Yeah, you were sure there.
So, and I'm not going to come there and beat a hammer over the head because at the end of the day, if that's your decision and I love you, that's what it is. Because I made decisions in life that you just had to come along for the ride because you were my son and I was the domiciliary parent. So I can only imagine if you had to say so at the table, you probably would be like, no, I didn't want to do that. I don't want to do that. So it was just a reversal. And just showing love don't require where people at mentally. That makes sense. I wouldn't want to see you in jail, but I'm gonna come see you. Right?
Yeah.
As regardless of whatever it is that you did, I wouldn't want you to be there. I wouldn't. And if you're there because of your own fault, I still would feel a certain type of way. But I'm coming to see about you, and so that's how I feel when it comes down to love.
So I got a deeper question. What would you say to parents that is either watching this podcast on YouTube or to the podcast audio? And if they're trying to get back into a relationship with their son or daughter, and they want that relationship, but they have done some things in the past to push them away. What would you say to kind of give them a tidbit of advice? Because there were times, even when I was living over there, that me and you just didn't talk because I felt a certain way, or you felt a certain way. So what advice would you give them as a tidbit?
One is you have to be prayerful. There is nothing that you can do without God. Only God can change the heart of men. Not you, not a prayer team or a prayer partner. Only God can change the heart of men. Secondly, you have to have create you a sanctuary in your home where you have a prayer life. There's nothing you could do without God. This is not without God. This is nothing of what I'm doing is what I believe. And then everything that you're going through in life, it has been done before. Go through the word, but also show love. Show love. Put yourself out there. Don't let your ego rule. Don't let your expectations of what you thought life was gonna be like rule, or what you thought your child was going to do, and your child did not do. accept them for who they are and for what they are, without judgment, whether you like it or whether you don't. There are going to be some times where you can create this, where God will create the space where you can minister to your child if they are on the wrong path. There are going to be some times where you are going to have to leave them in God's hands, but stay open and not grow weary in well doing, not block your heart off, but also acceptance. That's huge. You have to be able to accept and abound in a base. Accept things as they are. Don't shun them. Accept them as they are. And let your loved one know that you love them. There's nothing that you can do without love. There's nothing that you're going to do that I'm not going to be there. But I'm not going to allow your choices to rule my life. If that's the choice that you choose to make, what can I do to be on a common bond with you? So let me make that practical. So when Terrence made his choice to live wherever he wanted to live at that particular time, that was his choice. Did I like it? No, I did not. Did I want him home? Yes, I did. But however, that was his choice. Do that sever our relationship? No, it doesn't. That means that I have to call and ask him, okay, hey, I want to spend some time with you. Would they that you think you're going to be available, or you let me know when you're available, to give him the option whether he want to spend time with me or not. And sometimes it was a week later or a month later, or I'm doing something this week and I'll let you know. And you got to be open to that feedback.
Can I give my point of view?
Mm-hmm, of course.
So, I know a perfect example to what she just said. There was a time where I was living, and me and her talked a day, and she could tell the way I was talking on the phone that something was getting to me. Didn't know exactly what. Something was getting to me, and if she was really bearing on my mistakes, she would have said, well, that's what he's going through, and since he lived over there, he's gonna stay over there, and I'll get up with him another day. We had something planned that we was gonna do that day, but I told her, I'm not in that space. But she knew that I was gonna be in there, and I was just gonna salivate in what I was going through. I lie not. About 10 to 20 minutes, or I even said like an hour later, I heard poof, poof, poof. Open the door, and I see it was her right there. So she talked to me, she ministered to me. We ate food and we wound up having a pretty good day. And I remember I wound up actually coming back to live at the house, I'll say about 2 to 3 weeks after that. So she, even though the thing that I did it the wrong way, she met me where I was at. So you met me where I was at, and you helped me make the right decision, and you met me where I needed to be met at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so in that particular day, I was prayerful. I felt heavy that morning, and God already had let me know that He was in the right headspace. I already had knew before I even called Him, because I spent time with God and God told me. And so I didn't know what to do. I went to church as usual, and I wanted to run over there and rescue him, but God was telling me go worship, and I worshiped. And when I came home from church, God told me to go over there. And He told me what type of food to buy. I bought something to eat that day.
Yeah, I remember.
And I went over there not knowing if He was going to open the door or not. And He did. Came out, and we sat down, and we talked, and we didn't even talk about anything like, oh, you have something on your mind. It wasn't even about that. He opened the door, and to be honest with you, can I share? He just cried.
Yeah.
Like, he cried. And I didn't cry. I wanted to.
Yeah.
But he cried, and I just was like, Lord, I thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for for me being obedient, because as a parent I wanted to be in my flesh to go to school. You know how as parents we want to go run and save the day.
Yeah, but that's exactly how God moved. He showed you how to move that. That's real. That's exactly how God moved. So I want to segue into something else. When I was younger, I used to preach, and people could still find some of my sermons on YouTube. And when I got in my teenage years, I didn't really know if I wanted to do it anymore, and I was going through a turmoil within myself. So from 10 years old to about 16, that's what I was doing. And my mom, how did you feel when I stopped it? Like, I want to know, like, people, I know there's some people that's on my channel, they kind of remember what I used to do, because I pay a lot of homage to it. I might pull a picture of me up from time to time. So, how was you feeling at that time? Did you feel like I was just going through a phase, or what was your feeling?
I never was invested into what God had called you to do. That's not my arena. And I'll say it openly, and I told you privately. I'm not in a position where somebody's telling me that God told me to say something, do something. I'm not in a position to say that God did. And nor do I have the expectation on what it should be. And so, but I do believe that when God called you in a certain season, He can call you for that season. That don't mean that it's for the rest of your life. And then God can call you to many different things. I know that for a fact by living this life up until now. So when you were preaching, it just was something. It was beautiful to watch, and it was beautiful to hear your sermons. And some of the sermons really allowed me to see Scripture differently. But I see God in the Scriptures. But when you stopped, when you told me that you didn't want to preach anymore, I didn't shun you. I just told you, make sure that you're sure. Make sure that God is telling you to do that and it's not you. And when you stopped, that was a wrap.
Yeah, I remember that day.
And so I don't, number one is I want you saved, and I want you to have eternal life. Life beyond living this earthly life, because this is like a vapor.
Right.
So I don't want you playing with God, because He's nothing to play with, because He's real. So I'm not about to be going backwards and forwards with you about you being in the pulpit, because that's for men. I never want us to live for men, because when you live for men will have you up one day and down the next, based off of what they feel that you should be doing at that particular time. So no, I don't feel no way. Still don't feel no way. That was if I go back and look at one of your sermons, I don't grieve that time period in life, because also it was a lot of work.
Yeah, it was.
Like behind the scenes, people don't really know. For your child to be called that early, that's a lot of work. Like that's a lot of getting up in the nighttime and praying and wailing and fasting and praying. 4 o'clock in the morning, traveling on the road.
Yeah.
Getting up, traveling on the road Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. People calling, trying to discern to see if you're supposed to do this, and people not listening to his sermons and be like, oh, I want him at my church, and that is a lot of work. It ain't no game. It's not for nobody who just getting out here thinking that they can do it, because it's not. To do God's work is not a game.
And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this in a two-dimensional way. I honestly feel like in my heart of hearts, to this day, I feel like my mama was the only one in my family who's actually really, truly okay with me leaving that life. I feel like a lot of people enjoyed the props. Is the camera still on?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I want to make sure it was still recording. A lot of people was enjoying the props that came with the life. People enjoyed showing up and say, that was my nephew, that was my, that was my this, that was my that. So to seeing a lot of other people that enjoyed capitalizing off of that and see that you were the only one who weren't, that was very big. So that also leads me to, how about this? Parents whose child has done some great things and their child is showing signs that they don't want to do it anymore and they're getting gassed out, and that parent still wants to be forcing their child to do that thing. What would be, like, for instance, the up and downside to doing that? What is your feeling on the matter?
Number one, prayer. Be prayerful. Ask God to help your child to be a steward over your child, because having these children is we do nothing but steward over all the things that God has given us. So that you have to have good stewardship. You're not the owner. You're a manager, and we are vehicles to get certain things here, which is includes our children. So you got to be good steward over your child. Secondly, you're gonna have to remove the ego and expectation. Your ego can rule over a lot of things. Who you're supposed to be, who you're supposed to come, what we are not doing, what we stand for. That ego don't allow God to rule in your life. That ego has to die. The Word of God has said, anybody who bear this cross for Him, and they died to themselves, and I'm paraphrasing, that's when you have life. Dying to yourself is a daily act, because you got to put on that face when you get out. You got to put on that confidence when you got to do all of these things when you step out of here, because this world out here is some savage. But make sure that you listen to God. And if your child is telling you something that is causing them mentally and to be drained, listen to your child. Take a step back, because you want to make sure that they have a person that they can just be candid with. I wasn't trying to be Terrence's friend growing up, but I also wanted to be a parent that he don't have to be this perfect person, or he don't have to know it all. Even him doing something great as this preaching to adults. You can literally allow your child to kind of like, oh, he have this awesome wisdom. No, he's still a child of God that needs to be steward, and he can't walk around here with the world on his back without that wisdom. He didn't have it. So I need him to have a place where he can lay his head. And that's just metaphorically speaking, a place where he can not be Minister Terrence. He could just be Terrence. Or a place where he's not reading the Word. He's looking at TV. A place where he don't have to make the best choice. He just making a choice because he's making a choice. I love people being who they are at their most vulnerable state. Because that's who you really are. And if you don't make the right choice, you got grace, because God give us all grace and mercy.
One thing I remember, and it always kind of felt like a ritual. Every time I preached and I came home to my mom, I always either laid on a sofa, and you would pray over me, and like we would fall asleep just thanking God about allowing His mission to be done. And I'm always gonna remember those times. It was like something that it always happened. Like I would lay down and you would fall asleep praying over me, and I would wake up the next day in life. I have a sense of normalcy before the next time I get called to preach. It always happened, and it's like you always wanted to make sure that I was prepared for the situations that I was walking in.
Yeah, because I needed you to know that your armor is with God and not with me.
Right.
and I wanted you to, the biggest thing I wanted you to know while you were ministering is that God is who you're accountable to. Not the church that call you, not the preacher that call you, not me, not my mom, not papa, not your dad, not nobody in a family.
Right.
Even though it didn't always come out that way. You're accountable to a holy God. And that's what I wanted you to get out of it. Because it can get crazy, you know, it can get really crazy.
Yeah, that's real. So I think we're getting a little closer to wrapping this up, but there's 3 questions I want to bring in for our first episode, World on the Move. The first question is it's whatever you feel is safe for the camera. What do you think is your biggest trial and tribulation with raising me to the way that I am now, and how did you overcome it?
The biggest trial tribulation was listening to others. Listening to other loved ones that truly mattered in my life at that time, but never walked the shoes that I had walking at that time. Getting confident in listening to myself and spending time with God and making decisions and listening to what works and finding that particular groove. It wasn't until I started getting more confident in my decision-making skills, what works for our family, accepting my mistakes. It wasn't to getting to that area where I was able to kind of find a groove. But my biggest mistake was listening to other people.
Wow. So do you have a question for me before I give you the last question?
Do you feel that there was something that I can do to make sure that you gain a certain skill set that could have helped you now?
That's a very good and thought-provoking question.
And I have another one after that.
Okay. Honestly, I can't really say that because no one gives a guidebook on how to be a parent. And honestly, with the tools you were given, with the tools that God gave, and the fact that I'm in this position and we are in this position, I feel like you did a great job raising me. I also feel like just from my point of view, you also did a great job raising me. So I don't really think a lot of tools you gave me, like learning how to pivot, learn how to make mistakes, learning how to bounce back from them, and you taught me how to get in that dark room and slay your demons. So, from my opinion, I don't really think so.
Another question is the struggling financially. That was huge coming up. Like struggling, trying to make ends meet, struggling financially. I never wanted that for our lifestyle. That's just, it was very tough. But do you feel like you missed anything not having? I was not able to give you some of the assets that I would want to.
That's a great question. And I can say this without really thinking about it. Those times made me a man. And the working 2 jobs, working at SLCC and working at Lowe's, just to kind of help out and save. When my book came out, selling my books, it made me become. I have some stories about selling my books. 5 o'clock in the morning, seeing somebody coming across the street, I pull out the book out of my school bag and I walk over. The man is about to open up the shop. I scared the daylights out of him because he just see me pop up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I give him the rundown and spiel about my book, and he winds up buying it. So I have a great amount of stories on the book. I might talk about that on the
I
next.
didn't even know that.
Oh yeah, that day. I don't know if you remember, but that day, I'm gonna live further into our personal life. That day, that the cable bill went off, and I was like, "How much you need?" And he was like, "I need about 40." So I go out. You drive off. You think I'm just walking down the street. I went and I sold 2 books that day. I was like, "Mom, you come." I don't know if you remember, but you pulled up. I gave you the money. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That showed me how to, number one, be confident. Because there were times that I was unconfident in my sales and I didn't get it. There were times that I was confident in what I was selling and I didn't get it, or I did get it. It showed me and it made me a man, and I know exactly what to do when my back is against the wall. So those times made me a man, and it showed me what I can do. And at the end of the day, of working those 2 jobs and I lay in my bed, I felt so fulfilled that I actually did it. That God helped me get through it. So honestly, I feel like those are the things that gave me my work ethic now.
I'm glad that you learned those lessons. I probably would have wanted to show to you from those lessons, but I'm glad you learned them.
And my final question for you before we end this podcast. Hold on, excuse me. I gotta sneeze. I gotta
Here
sneeze.
we go.
I gotta sneeze, but it's not letting me. I gotta sneeze, but it's not
It's
letting
a personal joke, you guys. I'm probably have to tell you on another podcast. The sneezing. Oh my God.
Yesterday I was hiccuping, sneezing. I was going through every single thing in the book. It's like I couldn't get it together. But my last question I want to ask you before we wrap this podcast up is, if this were, let's just say, hypothetically speaking, that this was the podcast where somebody was at the lowest of the low, contemplating about suicide, contemplating about a lot of things, and they heard your voice at the end of this, what would be a piece of advice that you would want to give to them? Like if this is the last sound they would ever hear before they make their decision on doing it.
I can't tell you that this is the only day you will feel like this, but I can tell you this is the only day that you will feel like this. And what I mean is that this day will never come again. This is May the 6th, 2025, and tomorrow will be May the 7th, 2025. You will never get this moment back in time again. So that means that this is the last time that you feel like this. So tomorrow, when you wake up, you have an option. Your option is to try to create the same feeling that you had yesterday, or you can create a new feeling. Now, tomorrow can be the last day that you feel like this. Do you kind of see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, you have to decide what day is going to be the last day you feel like this. In life, there are going to be so much of things that make you feel just like you just want to end it all. I know. I have been there, and some days I can get there. But I live another day. Because I told my son, when I have thoughts of suicide, I think about the enemy on the other side, which is the devil that would love for me to end it all because he thinks that, well, I have allowed certain thoughts to happen. I'm gonna live. This is spite in my head. This is the last day before. It's a decision. And if you choose to end it all, that's the last day you feel like this. And if you choose to think differently, that's the last day you feel like this. You have to make a choice. Don't make no sense for you to sit back, vacillating backwards and forwards. There is something that I was stating to Terrence one time he came in the room and told me that he wanted to kill himself. And I looked up at my son and I told him, I said, you don't want to kill yourself. Because if you want to kill yourself, people who kill themselves don't announce it. They just kill themselves. And so that may have not been a response that he wanted to hear. And that may not be a response that you wanted to hear. But if you're going to make a decision, make a decision. And I would hope that you make a decision to live. Because you don't know when that breakthrough is going to happen. You don't know what God is showing you on the opposite side. You just have to muscle up enough strength for you to say, I have to get to tomorrow. Because that's the last day I will feel like this.
Boom! That was amazing. And from my side of things, y'all, there's a reason why I call myself the Titan. It was a lot that went on in my life, especially losing my cousin, losing my grandpa, who was like a father figure to me. A lot that happened that I was already going through mentally. There's a reason why I call myself Terrence the Titan. That's why I always say that I am not the only Titan. We are all Titans, and Titan is not a statement, it's a mindset. It's when you get back up no matter what. To me, there's a lot of TV shows where a Titan might be portrayed as a god. But truly, a Titan really represents a giant. A man or woman that gets back up and despite it all continues to fight. When we take on the moniker Titan, it's not that we're unbreakable. See, a Titan is not unbreakable. But the thing is about that Titan, you might knock him down. You might beat him down to the point where he looks like he's gonna crawl. He's gonna have to crawl to that next location. But that's the thing. He will crawl to that next location. There is no just sitting there and rolling over and dying. When you take on the moniker Titan and you follow this channel and you follow us and you understand who we are, you have to put it in your head that you won't go down for anybody. You won't try to hurt yourself or kill yourself. The only way you go down and die is when God takes you home. And Judgment Day comes and he says, well done, my good and faithful servant. Until then, get up. Even when the ground is shaking, get up. Even when it feels like it's caving in. If you gotta crawl, crawl. If you gotta crab walk, crab walk. It's just about making it. Like being a boxer, people would say that it's about winning. But do you know how many people that dies in a boxing ring? You know how many times people would just die just like that? The thing is, there is people that did lose and stay down for the 10 count. But that's the thing. You might stay down for that 10 count. Okay, it happened already. But are you gonna get up? Or are you gonna keep on going? You are Titans. I love all of you. AME love you.
I do.
And this is World on the Move.